Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I'm going to present about my book review, and before I'm going to present, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nur Farhain, and the title of the book I'm going to present is Faces of Muhammad: Western Perception of the Prophet of Islam from the Middle Ages until today. So we are going to start with introduction first, where I will briefly introduce about the author of the book, and then we'll be moving through chapter by chapter, and lastly my critical review regarding this book. So let's get started. So about the author, named John V. Tolan, he was a historian, and his field, he was expert in study of religious and cultural relation between Arab and Latin in Middle Ages, and also the history of religious interaction and conflict between Jews, Christians, and Muslims. As you can see, all his books written about European and also Islam, and the latest one is The Faces of Muhammad, which published in 2019. And the main idea of this book was written actually wanted to discuss the Western perception, or particularly known as European perception, of the image of Muhammad, where Prophet Muhammad was seen as an impostor, a prophet, a statesman, and also a lawmaker from time to time. And the second, Orientalist description of the Prophet Muhammad in the eyes of the European, with inadequate and limited of sources, because they are using one-sided and single sources, and particularly using Christian sources. So there was quite hostile and brutal assumption made by them. And third, the religious and political riot happening, especially in Britain and France, impacted by the portrayal of Muhammad, which changes from time to time. So this book consists of 9 chapters altogether, and we are going to start with chapter 1, titled Muhammad Guided. Muhammad also is a Western call for Muhammad. So in this first chapter, just introduction where Islam came from, and it was believed Islam came from the religion of the Saracen people. The Saracen people is a group of people who is pagan idolaters, where they believe they worship idol called Muhammad. And the Christian call these people as a heresy, because its teaching was far from the principle of Christianity, and these people was depicted in few religious epic or chanson of Tolan. And the second chapter is the Trickster and Heresiarch, and in this chapter is a basis of the entire book, because this argument will be used in every chapter, which is the European false belief regarding the Prophet Muhammad. First, the Prophet Muhammad gained revelation through the dove whisper on his ears. The dove was sitting beside the Prophet Muhammad eating grain inside his ear, and it symbolized the dove actually whispering the word of God. And the dove plays as an intermediary between the Prophet and also the God. And the second, the epileptic fit when meeting Angel Gabriel. The Christian believe that Prophet Muhammad meeting Angel Gabriel in Hira cave, and there's the Prophet experienced several epileptic fit or seizure because he was scared meeting Angel Gabriel. And the third one is Milk and Honey, which is beef present by God hidden in the desert. And the fourth one, bull appeared with holy book attached to its horn, and Prophet Muhammad married to Khadijah, or known as Khadijah, to rule on his tribe at first. He was married to Prophet Khadijah for his personal gain or personal purposes, but he cannot be a ruler then, he pretends to be a prophet that time. Then that's why people call him as a trickster. And this argument starting from 12th until 16th century, and I believe still ongoing until today. And this picture is one of the example. And as you can see here, the dove was sitting beside his ears, whispering something, and the listeners were the Muslims were wearing turban, and there's a bull and Quran holy book attached to its horn. And moving on to chapter 3. The pseudo-prophet of the Moors. Why the Moors? Because during this time, the conquest of Granada happened in 1492 to 1609, where the expulsion of the Moriscos. Who are the Moriscos? The Moriscos is a people converted from Islam to Christian. So they wanted to make Spain as one single nation with Christianity. So they convert the Moriscos people by force, and they started to present hostile biography to prevent people from embracing Islam. And Alfonso El Sabio is one of the scholars during that time. He compared Muhammad with Jesus when he said Muhammad, he married with Khadijah and also at the same time preaching the words of God. And how come a prophet can um, can um, can happen to have two responsibilities, which is married and also preaching. Meanwhile, Jesus, he is a celibate, but he didn't get married, but he continuously preaching the word of God and showing that um, the, the prophet only seek one focus only, which is as a messenger of God. And he also said that Arab were illegitimate rulers in Iberia, and he glorifies Catholic Gothic and Roman rule. And scholars such as Nicholas of Cusa and Juan de Segovia came out with different approach, which is more, I say not quite hostile, which is more positive manner approach, which is Nicholas emphasized the unity of belief, and he said that with religious unity, it can lead to a respect and understanding to other people's religion. And Juan de Segovia, he came out with more intellectual way where he organized peaceful dialogues and debates between Christian and Muslims, so people can think rationally to the truth of Christianity, to pursue Islam, to convert to the truth of Christianity. And also because he wants to abolish Muslim misconception towards Christianity, which is they did not using any kind of violence instead of peaceful manner. And he also collaborated with Muslim Fatih as they gave birth to produce new translation of Quran, but sadly he still refers to speculum historiale and giving same critics like the previous scholar did. And Juan Andres, he the one who used Muslim sources such as Quran and Sunnah, so he sticks to the Muslim sources and not giving hostile argument. And he also believes the compilation of Quran is not Muhammad's order. However, he still criticized why Islam divided into full school of thought and signifies that Islam actually not a united religion because it was divided actually. And the chapter of Quran regarding Virgin Mary parallel with Christian teaching, and that's why the most of the Islam should change into Christian truth. Moving on to chapter 5, during this time the prophet of the church, during this time 16th and 17th century, the Turks were rising and started to expand their empire to Eastern European, and at the same time the Catholic and Protestant were fighting, and also creates a friction affected the way how Christian Europeans perceived the Muslims and also the Prophet. Even though the Catholic and Protestant were bickering against each other, but still they used Muhammad or also Islam as the way as a way in their rhetoric, polemics, and they believe that the emergence of truth is one of God's punishment for Christian sin, because they're always bickering about their own religion, and the Europeans also look at the church not only for political stability and unity, but also the church were practicing religious diversity makes them feel very insecure, both Protestant and Catholic, and saw church as a double threat because it would both conquer and seduce the Christian. So the Catholic versus Protestant, both of them comparing themselves who is more better, and the Catholic polemists say that the Luther and Calvin worse than Muhammad, and the Protestant fight back saying that Hafiz is more worse than Muhammad, but for several, Muhammad is better than all of them because he preached the unity of God, which is more closer to the pure Christianity before it was distorted. And Giovanni translated began the Latin, and he wanted to give more simpler and less academic, and turned out more accusation regarding Islam, including crucifixion, incarnation, Trinity, mocking of Isra Mi'raj, polygamy, and ablution. And the one who is blind and simple people would take this proof and also would take this to prevent themselves embracing the Muhammad doctrine. Immaculate Conception also one of the issues which the Catholic and Protestant keep fighting about. Immaculate Conception is a doctrine that Virgin Mary was conceived without sin. In Islam, we do believe about this. The Virgin Mary was conceived without committing any adultery. But in Islam also, they rejected the original sin which corrupts the humanity. And as you can see here, there is a timeline saying that from 14th to 15th century, Muhammad is better than some Catholic American who rejected this. In 15th and 16th century, Muhammad and the Saracen recognized the purification of Mary, so does the Christian must do so. And 16 and 18, the vision of Muhammad as defender of Immaculate Conception, and thus giving more positive image of Muhammad in the next chapter. Okay. In chapter 5, regarding the revolution of Renaissance England. Okay, the England during this time are having some kind of social and political upheaval. The Christian was split into pieces, and during this time there are several attempts on translation of Quran, but it was prohibited by the parliamentary, and also controversy in religion in the society, which is the corruption of priesthood, where this clergy become corrupted and using religion for wealth and power. And during this time, Christians started to see Muhammad as a religious reformer who transformed Christianity to its pure form. Because Muhammad rejected the priesthood, there is no people who are better than you, and he believed that it is our responsibility as human beings. We should responsible with our relationship with God, and there is no intermediaries, there is no people that are more superior or more holier than you to become intermediary between you and God. Moving on. Okay, moving on to this one scholar, Henry Steup. Henry Steup is one of the first Christian Europeans who portrays the glowing image of Muhammad, and he started wrote positive biography. Even though during this in the previous chapter, the Christian already seen the church as the one who practiced religious tolerance, but none of the authors showing Muhammad as a positive figure, not until Steup came, and I will continue to talk about his view in the next video, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.